Hey there, creepy peeps. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're returning. It's the holiday season, and I know most of us have been staying in, staying warm, and watching tons of holiday horror movies because who doesn't love a good seasonal horror movie? So my patron Melissa wanted me to do a video on my favorite Christmas horror movies, so that's what we're gonna do today. Insert slick segue here. I want to thank my creepy patron peeps for supporting my channel. Thank you guys so much. If you want to find out the perks to being a creepy patron peep yourself, you can follow that link in the description. It's a good time to think about joining because we are adding some new perks to, I think, pretty much all of the tiers. Yeah, all of the tiers come 2021. Coming in at number 10 on my list is 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night, which follows a young man who suffered trauma as a young boy when he witnessed his parents' murder by a man in a Santa suit. Years later, he's forced to fill in as Santa at his job, and he goes on a killing rampage as a result. I feel like pretty much everyone has seen this movie, but on the off chance you haven't, it's like the quintessential holiday horror movie. It's got lots of Christmas decor and Christmas music paired with a lot of slashing and killing and just traumatic things. It is the perfect movie to get out all of your frustrations with the holiday. Or maybe that's just me because I work retail. While I really like the story, it does take a little bit to get into like the killing rampage. Once it gets there, it's super fun and cheesy and 80s, but it takes a minute, which is why it's more towards the bottom of this list. On its own though, and not compared to all these other holiday horror movies, actually quite a dark story of like untreated trauma and how that manifests in a scary way. So I would highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. My number 9 pick is Better Watch Out, the super divisive Christmas horror movie from 2016. The movie starts out like a normal home invasion involving a 12-year-old boy and his babysitter. Things take a turn for the weird when the babysitter finds out this is no normal home invasion. So this one had people really divided. I find the movie quite cartoonish, and there's a lot of parts where it definitely defies logic, but I mean, what movie doesn't in some way? I do find it wildly entertaining though, because essentially the entire movie is just this like little boy who just has the sheer audacity. That's the whole movie. Also, that like recreated paint can scene from Home Alone was awesome. For number 8, we have what I think is a super underrated holiday horror movie, and that is Dead End, which follows a family driving to Christmas dinner. They decide to take a shortcut through back roads, and that ends up being the worst decision ever because that like always works out well in horror movies. I feel like the starring cast of Ray Wise and Lin Shaye should sell you on this alone, but it is a little creepy, a little cheesy. It's got this like wibbly wobbly timey-wimey thing going on, which I really like. It's kind of like a very nice middle ground between the Blair Witch Project and Grave Encounters. So if you liked one or both of those movies, I feel like you should check this out if you haven't already. Coming in at number 7 is one that I also think is a little bit underrated. Maybe not as underrated as Dead End, but it definitely needs to be talked about more, especially at Christmas time, and that is P2, which follows an office worker who gets stuck in a parking garage on Christmas Eve by the garage security, who is obsessed with her. I feel like this movie is Luke from Better Watch Out, who grew up but somehow didn't grow out of having the audacity. It's every woman's and female presenting person's nightmare and sadly reality, which makes it extra scary. But on its own, it's just super creepy. It's got a healthy dose of Christmasness in there. And honestly, the whole being stuck in an underground parking garage just terrifies me by itself. I'm so glad we can't like do that here. I might get canceled for putting this one at number 6, but Gremlins! Yay. You know the story, a boy gets a weird little creature for Christmas, and after not following the rules, violent gremlins emerge and wreak havoc. I feel like that's like Netflix level bad of a summary for the movie, but you guys all know what Gremlins is about. I don't really need to go into detail. I do really like this movie. It's not my go-to Christmas movie. It's a classic, but it's like a background classic for me at this point because I feel like I've seen it so many times. It's a super solid movie, obviously, with the adorable Gizmo, who honestly carries the movie. So, I mean, that he's, at this point, he is the reason why I watch the movie. All right, we're into the top 5 now. Next is A Christmas Horror Story. This is a fun holiday horror anthology that takes place in the town of Bailey Downs that is plagued with evil Santas, zombie elves, and malevolent spirits. Think Tales of Halloween, but for Christmas. It takes place all in one town. There is a radio DJ played by a celebrity cameo who kind of links all the stories together. And there's a good variety of stories. I love the combination of ghost stories, slashers, and folklore and legends that like make up these shorts. Like it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. They're all super different, and I feel like the movie as a whole, like all of these shorts, bring something new to the holiday horror table. But if you want like a holiday horror movie that's unique and something that you haven't seen a million times over, because we don't get very many new holiday horror movies each year, right? Definitely check out A Christmas Horror Story. So number 4 on my list is a new favorite. Came out this year, although it feels like it came out like 2 years ago at this point. And it is traumatizing as fuck. It's The Lodge, which is technically a Christmas movie about 2 kids that are left alone in a snowed-in cabin with their dad's new girlfriend when her past comes back to torment her. Because it's so new, I won't talk about like spoilers or specifics or anything like that. I'll keep this one even more vague than the other ones. It's dark AF. It's about trauma and how it stays with us and manifests in different ways. And it is super unsettling. It was just something that I was like very uncomfortable and tense the whole time I was watching it. And as you can imagine by the placement on this list, I loved that. I will warn you, it does not have a happy ending. So if you're looking for like a Christmas horror movie with a little bit of joy to it, this is not the movie. If you want to watch something that's going to make you feel something after this emotionally numbing year, then The Lodge. Watch The Lodge. So I'll keep number 3 short and sweet with Rare Exports, which is about a boy and his father living in a remote mountain town where the kids are going missing and the real meaning of Christmas is buried deep within the mountains. I talked about this one super recently, so I'm gonna spare you like all the gushing about this horror movie, and I'll just leave you with this. If you haven't seen it, you need to. It's nothing like any other Christmas movie I've ever seen, and it's nothing like anything else on this list. So at number 2 on my list is the original Black Christmas from 1974, which follows members of a sorority spending the holidays on campus as a mysterious person is making threatening phone calls and picking them off one by one. This is such a good movie. It's one of the earlier like proto slashers that started the craze in the 80s. It is subtle. It's terrifying. This is one of the perfect examples of a movie like keeping just enough unresolved so that it sticks with you rather than explaining every little detail to the point that it's not scary anymore. I'm sure most of y'all aren't that surprised that this is that high on the list. I know this is a very well-loved Christmas horror movie. If you haven't seen it yet, highly suggest it, especially if you've seen the other 2 Black Christmases. If you have seen those 2 and you haven't seen this one yet, you need to rent me that this year. That'll fix 2021, I promise. I bet you none of you guessed what my number 1 Christmas horror movie is. But just for funsies, 20 points to Gryffindor if you figured out that Krampus is my favorite Christmas horror movie ever. I think just my favorite Christmas movie in general. If I was into men in any way, shape, or form at all, Michael Dougherty would be it, I tell you what. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar, but the movie follows a family that becomes trapped in their home at Christmas time by Krampus and the other malevolent spirits that help him. To me, obviously, as per the placement on this list, this is the perfect Christmas horror movie and just the perfect Christmas movie, and I'll explain why. It's got all like the familiar elements of like a holiday comedy, just like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story. I almost said A Christmas Horror Story. But the perfect balance of horror. I feel like it just so perfectly exemplifies what Christmas is. I don't know, at least to me, and I know a lot of other people, especially nowadays, because it's just been like so overly commercialized, and I feel like a large part of the season is not only the stuff we love, but this irritation with packed malls, thousands of dollars in credit card debt from buying presents for every single member of your extended family. It's everything I love about Christmas rolled into everything I hate about Christmas, if that makes sense. It's also got really awesome puppetry and practical effects, so if you're into stuff like that and you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch it just for like the monsters and things alone, because it's amazing. So there you have it. Those are my favorite Christmas horror movies ever. Please share what your favorites are in the comment section down below, especially if you have any like underrated ones or hidden gems that you think nobody talks about and we need to know about. Please let us know about them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here. Become a creepy peep today. I post 2 new videos a week, which means I will see you very soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.